We all watched Obito invading the Leaf Village, snatching the Nine Tails out of Kushina, fighting against Obito, trying to capture the Nine Tails and destroy the village, a plan that was foiled by Minato. He did hurt Obito quite a bit during their fight, shoving a Rasengan into him and then stabbing him with a kunai, and Obito retreats, stating that there are other ways to win this war. They save, or kinda, because Minato has to sacrifice himself to seal the Nine Tails back into Naruto because he wants to keep the Nine Tails as a resource in the Leaf Village. He states himself that he could have killed the Nine Tails, but he prefers to keep this as a Leaf Village asset, and he believes that Naruto will one day master the power of the Tail Beast and use it properly. Which takes about 16 years to happen when Naruto learns KCM, but throughout this time, especially when Naruto was young, like 5, 6, 7, why didn't Obito just pop back into the Leaf Village and got Naruto? We knew he was after the Nine Tails because he needed every Tail Beast to complete the Eye of the Moon plan. This was Madara's plan that was passed on to Obito, and Obito carried out Madara's will, pretending he was Madara, essentially. Naruto was very weak when he was a small kid. He couldn't do anything against Sasuke in his age, so if Obito, who was fighting against Minato when he was 14, popped back in and captured Naruto, nothing could have been done. There was no one powerful enough to challenge Obito in that point of the story. Kakashi wouldn't be able to do anything. The Third Hokage would have gotten bodied. Jiraiya wasn't even in the village, and he would get bodied by Obito as well. It would have been the easiest thing in the world, so why doesn't Obito do that? Well, like everything, there are two explanations, an out-of-universe and in-universe explanation. The out-of-universe explanation is very straightforward, because the story needed to happen, and Obito couldn't capture Naruto when he was 5. The end. But that's obviously not the most interesting explanation. We are trying to find out in-universe why Obito never did that. And I want to first debunk some misconceptions about it. Some people will say that Obito was afraid of Itachi, and so he never touched the Leaf Village. Well, that's not true. Obito was not afraid of Itachi. He was cautious around Itachi because he knew Itachi could be problematic, but he wasn't shaking on his boots just by thinking about Itachi's presence around him or anything like that. No. And even if that was the case, when Naruto was 4, Itachi was like 9. Itachi was too young to be any problem for Obito in that point of the story. The Uchiha clan was alive, but as we saw after, the Uchiha clan massacre, Obito dealt with the Uchiha clan pretty well. He massacred the entire police, and they weren't a problem for him. And Obito has the best possible infiltration jutsu in the history of manga/anime. Kamui is absolutely broken. You can teleport into the Leaf Village without being noticed. You can pass through walls just like he did to enter Minato's hideout when Kushina was giving birth. Getting Naruto would have been the easiest thing in the world. But the Nine Tails was a different tail beast than the others. It is stated in the story that it must be the last one to be captured in order for the tail beasts to be sealed properly inside the Geromazo, or the absolutely bestial power of the Nine Tails would disrupt the Geromazo if it got inside the Geromazo before the other tail beast. So why did Obito attack the Leaf Village when Naruto was being born in the first place, if that was the case, and if he knew that, and he did know that? Well, it's because that was a good opportunity and Obito took it. Kushina was pregnant, the seal was going to weaken, and it was going to be rather easy to extract the Nine Tails, which could be very troublesome, especially when it comes to the Reaper Death Seal, a very powerful sealing jutsu. This wasn't an opportunity Obito could pass, even though he wouldn't be able to properly seal the Nine Tails for quite some time. However, because he could extract the Nine Tails so easily, he could use the Nine Tails as a weapon to get the other tail beasts while he couldn't seal it into the Geromazo. He was able to control the Nine Tails flawlessly. He casually put the tail beast under Genjutsu and made it attack the Leaf Village without, much trouble at all. He looked at the Nine Tails and she was under Genjutsu. This wouldn't really be possible without Kushina being pregnant, because Obito wouldn't be able to break the seal like that and outright remove the Nine Tails from her. The extracting method with the Geromazo is quite more difficult because the sealing is usually stronger, and the Nine Tails would be inside of the Geromazo. Obito wouldn't be able to use it to its fullest potential. Also, having to control the Jinchuriki, transform the Jinchuriki into the Nine Tails, if you weren't to remove it, would be much more cumbersome, and you would have to keep the Jinchuriki alive for quite some time, up until when you capture all the other tail beasts, which took Obito, you know, over a decade to accomplish. So keeping a hostage for that long isn't the best thing in the world, and the Leaf Village would definitely be after you. And Obito didn't want that type of attention in the time. It's very clear that Obito did a covert operation on the Leaf Village, so that the only person that knew somebody else attacked the village other than just the Nine Tails going ballistic was Minato and probably Kushina. But Kushina just gave birth. She was probably very dazed and barely even saw Obito coming, even though Obito captured her. So yeah, she knew. But it was only the two of them, and they died in the event. So Obito covered his tracks really well. He made everything seem like a random event, or even better, he incriminated the Uchiha clan, who were all out for a mission, and they were, you know, the prime candidates. Dudes that can control the Nine Tails. They were out of the village in that day, and then all of a sudden, the Nine Tails goes ballistic. The guys are not there. It's a perfect plan because Obito didn't get noticed. Naruto only found out that Obito / the masked man / Madara attacked the Leaf Village when he spoke to Minato after Minato saved him from the Nine Tails consuming his entire body. Because Minato actually saw what happened. It wasn't in the best interest of Obito to let himself be found out by anyone in that point in time. No, nobody could know Madara Uchiha, quote-unquote, was alive and he was forming a new organization. Otherwise, the 5 major villages would have come together much sooner than what they did in the series, and things would have been much more complicated. They would go hunt down the Akatsuki before it even forms, and sure, Obito is extremely powerful and he could just phase from place to place, teleport away. He probably wouldn't be caught, but this would be bad for his plans. He couldn't be found out. He had to form the Akatsuki using Nagato in a pretext that the Akatsuki were initially just making jobs for a very cheap price for anyone that asked. That's the first stage of the Akatsuki. They were just mercenaries, and then they started to capture the tail beasts. Only after they've acquired money and some influence. They needed to form the Akatsuki in the first place to be able to seal the tail beasts into the Ghetto Mazo. As you may remember, they had to combine all their chakras when they were 10 Akatsuki members to, you know, use that dragon sealing jutsu and collect the tail beast. They even state every single time when they lose a member, oh, it's getting more difficult to seal, it's taking more chakra, it's taking more time. So imagine if Obito had to do that alone. He probably wouldn't even have enough chakra. Granted, he had a lot of it, especially in the war, but it's very much implied he got that boost because of the Rinnegan, and he didn't have the Rinnegan at the time. And so he would need more powerful Akatsuki members to pull the Nine Tails and the other tail beasts as well out of the Jinchurikis. And the Nine Tails had to be the last one, so it wouldn't really make sense for Obito to go and capture Naruto. He would have to keep this boy, this very annoying boy that he wanted to see because it probably reminded him of his sensei for over a decade, and if something went wrong and Naruto died during captivity, then it would take years for the Nine Tails chakra to coalesce back into nature, and this would put a stop to the Akatsukis and the Eye of the Moon plan. Obito has always been arrogant after he became the bad Obito. He always found himself to be stronger than anybody else, that he was always on top of everything, that he knew everything around him, and that he had everything under control. So he never thought Naruto would grow powerful enough to challenge him, or even the Leaf Village to begin with. He thought, yeah, I can just go and grab this guy whenever I have to, whenever the time comes. He doesn't even do it himself in Naruto Shippuden. He tells Pain to go and do it for him, and then he tries that in the war, but then in the war he didn't even need Naruto anymore because he had a partial amount of the Nine Tails' chakra from Ginkaku and Kinkaku, and he could just create the 10 tails from that. Even though it was a weaker version, he could do so. And he didn't really send Pain because he didn't think he was powerful enough to do it. He clearly was. He infiltrated the Leaf Village when he was 14. When he was 27, it would have been much easier. He was more powerful, more experienced, everything. It's just that, well, I don't really have to take care of that kind of business. I have my organization that I pull the strings from, you know, behind the scenes, so they do do all the stuff for me while I stay back here and I'm just going to execute the plan when the time comes. It's only in the war arc that he really starts to do things. And you have to understand, Obito is the type of character that likes to give those statements saying that he has no feelings anymore, that he doesn't care about the world. But going back to the Leaf Village again would be an emotional hurdle, especially if he met Kakashi. And if he went back when Naruto was 4 and he was like 19 or something, then things would be worse. He wasn't the 27-year-old Obito that was fighting against Kakashi and all that. He was still more immature, and just bringing back those memories, everything that happened with Rin, would be something that would affect him, and he would just probably want to avoid it. Even if he didn't want to admit it to himself, that's something he didn't want to feel again. He didn't want to remember about his past. He was trying to bury it down. Though we see when the time comes and when he needs his memories and his attachments, when the Ten Tails was trying to consume and rip his body apart, he remembered his old team to keep his body together. Those feelings were always there, and Obito didn't want to bring them back, so he wouldn't want to go back in the Leaf Village, and if he didn't absolutely need to, he wouldn't do so. So much so that he sends Pain anyway when the time comes for them to capture Naruto. He doesn't go himself. Subscribe to this channel if you've enjoyed this video, like the video as well to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, it really helps. Watch this other video right here for more Naruto content just like this, and thank you so much for watching.